What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Rise of the Beasts, Beast Alliance, Weaponizer 2-pack, ARCEE and Cheetor. Now, as we take a look here at the packaging, unfortunately, this is one of the very last remaining mainline figures that I have left to check out, which is a shame because I think had they given us maybe a wave 4, we could have potentially seen a mainline version of Scourge, but they could have potentially just saved one of the best ones for last, because this ARCEE may be better looking than the Studio Series version, and she's also a little bigger, something which I was hoping from that original Studio Series release. So with all that being said, let's get cracking. And here we have the Weaponizer ARCEE as she comes packaged in her vehicle mode. And all things considered, it's actually a pretty decent looking bike mode. But what I will say is its only massive improvement in this form when in comparison to the Studio Series version would be that it's slightly bigger. Because in terms of design, to be honest, it's near enough identical. I mean, all of the robot mode pieces end up in pretty much the exact same spot. So the legs transform almost identical to the Studio Series release. The fake robot mode chest does still become the seat of the bike mode. And it doesn't look too great. And I also hate that the hands still are hanging off the back, and to me they do look slightly worse this time round because not only are they a separate part of the sculpt, but they're also an entirely different colour to the forearm. So yeah, they look kind of ugly, but to be honest, if you were to kind of hide this, I think the rest of the bike does come together pretty nicely. I mean, the front wheel is even pinned on, so that's pretty cool. She shouldn't have too many problems rolling out into battle alongside Optimus Prime, but I don't think it's truly until we will see a deluxe class version of this character that we're really going to get a good version of this design, because yeah, this still does have quite a few problems, unfortunately. And if you wanted to, you could also attach Cheetor here onto the back to create her weaponized look. Now, as we take a look at a few comparisons, here on the left we had the Weaponizer ARCEE compared to the right, which is the Studio Series version. And like I mentioned beforehand, I think with the exception of the Weaponizer being slightly bigger, overall I still find myself much preferring the details on the Studio Series version. I mean, for example, the paint and the colours just work a little better in my opinion. But if you are like myself and you have been after a slightly bigger version of this character, then to be honest with you, I do think the Weaponizer for now will itch that scratch. And here she is compared alongside the Rise of the Beast Studio Series Bumblebee. So again, much bigger. Of course, she's not to scale here with this SS Bumblebee, but she's a pretty decent size. And here is how she fares alongside my personal favourite Rise of the Beast Weaponizer, that being Scorponok, who I may or may not do a review on. You guys let me know down in the comment section below if you'd like to see me check him out. Now, as we get stuck into ARCEE's transformation, to kickstart things off with, you are going to want to take what will become her feet in robot mode and just extend these here down. Once you reach to this point, we can then take the hip joint and extend this section here outwards, and then fully extend these double hinge joints. So do the exact same here for this side, extend this section here down, fold out the hip joint, and then fully extend these double hinge joints. Personally, I would then come here to the front end of the bike, bring this piece here down, which will allow for enough clearance for us to rotate here at the hips, and basically just straighten out her legs. Once you've done this, we can then come up to the arms, split these here, and then come around here to the back and split this rear tire right down the middle. I found this to be kind of cool, especially for a Weaponizer. You know, you'd think this would maybe be a static wheel in vehicle mode. So yeah, that's pretty cool in the way that works. And then all you're going to want to do is basically clip the shoulders into place, flip out ARCEE's head, rotate here at the elbows. I will say the shoulder joints are always prone to popping off, so definitely make sure that you grab a hold of them when you are rotating at the wrists or at the biceps. And bang! Here we have Weaponizer ARCEE fully transformed into her robot mode. Now, unlike the bike mode, I do find there to be quite a few improvements this figure does have when in comparison to the Studio Series version. So, first of all, she's much larger. I mean, I think this is something that I and many other collectors were hoping to see from that original core class release. You know, it's excellent that she's kind of in that deluxe class scale because this design is so awesome. I mean, it's undeniably one of the best looks that I think we've ever seen for ARCEE. And another improvement would be the accurate placement of her wheels. Now, when we very first saw this character in one of the teaser trailers, it was shown that these wheels were kind of on the base of her legs. She was using them as wheelies alongside Wheeljack in battle, and that's how the Studio Series version looked. So initially, I did believe the Studio Series version's placement to be accurate, but as we watched the movie, primarily they always were stacked up on her back. So yeah, this definitely is much nicer in my opinion. Of course, this whole midsection is inaccurate, but for a Weaponizer, to be fair, I think it's kind of awesome that at the very least we do get these additional wheels details kind of on the back, and that does result in a much cleaner side profile. I mean, check that out. That looks kind of awesome. These legs are exactly what I would expect from the Rise of the Beasts RC, and look at the shocks that we've got packed into the back of the knees. So yeah, even for a Weaponizer, she's very nicely detailed, which, talking of, the face sculpt is actually pretty decent. Now, do I prefer this over the Studio Series version? I'm not quite sure. I mean, it is very accurate to what we saw from the movie. I would have preferred it had they maybe gone for a slightly sharper sculpt, because I think in the film she had quite a few more mechanical panels, but very kind of G1 accurate in terms of its design. Unfortunately, she still has a fake chest piece, which was something that we saw from the SS version. I'm not too sure why it's so hard to use the real front end of the bike as her chest, but again, maybe that is something that we'll see in the future if Hasbro ever do decide to give us a proper deluxe scale version of this character. But yeah, the legs do look so much nicer, and articulation wise isn't actually too bad. So here at the head is on a swivel, so it can rotate left to right. It can also look up and down, mainly due to transformation. Ball joints here for the shoulders, ball joints here for the elbows, which can bend to 90. Wrist rotation, which is excellent, although unfortunately, unlike the Studio Series version, no waist articulation. So that is a slight shame. In terms of the hips, these can keep forwards that far, back to that far, out to the sides, and then due to transformation, we basically get double jointed knees, which can bend to a pretty awesome range. Although another thing I want to mention is, because this is a Weaponizer, a gimmicky figure, she is plagued with quite a few hollow spaces. So you can see that here on the inside of the thigh, and especially here for the back of the head. But when you factor in how much this figure costs, and especially the accessory that it includes, to be honest with you guys, I don't think it's that bad. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised to say that this may be the first mainline gimmicky figure which has the potential to maybe dethrone a Studio Series entry. Now, in terms of accessories, unfortunately, RC doesn't include any proper handheld blaster. Instead, we get a reissue of the Beast Battlemaster Cheetor, and this is pretty much identical to the version that we saw as part of Wave 1. Unfortunately, this time, though, it has significantly less paint apps packed into the biceps, but personally, I'm kind of glad that I have two versions of this mold, because now I can armor up my Ultimate Optimus Primal, and for now, have him as a temporary stand-in for Ape Link. And yes, it's still possible to transform this guy into his Energon Blade, which I think is slightly more impressive looking when in comparison to the cheetah mode. Now, as we check out a few comparisons in robot mode, on the left we have the Weaponizer ARCEE, again compared to the right, which is the Studio Series version. Now, unlike bike mode, it really is quite cutthroat here, because hands down, I think overall the Weaponizer version is much nicer looking in robot mode. I mean, as we spin these here around to the side, there was an awful amount of kibble here on this core class figure, and because she was slightly smaller, it basically just restricted you in articulating her into any decent pose. So yeah, that is definitely a bit of a shame. And you could take the dekibbling a little further on this Weaponizer RC if you really wanted to, and completely remove the front end of the bike, which, to be honest, I actually think does wonders. So yeah, at least in terms of robot mode, I do think overall the Weaponizer version is much nicer done. I mean, just the design is so much more accurate to the movie. But in terms of paint, I have got to say that I do find the Studio Series version to win in that area, because I do like the details on the face, and in particular what they've done here for the torso. Here is how she fares alongside the Studio Series Deluxe Class Bumblebee. Whilst she's not in scale, like I said in my original Core Class RC review, I would have much rather had her been bigger and more accurate than smaller and inaccurate. So personally, I don't have much of an issue with this at all. Here is how she compares alongside the Beast Alliance Scorponok. Here she is with the Studio Series Deluxe Class Air Razor, the Mainline / Movie Line Deluxe Class Nightbird, Wheeljack / Pablo / Elton John, Mainline Mirage, Studio Series Leader Class Optimus Primal, and then finally the buzzworthy Bumblebee Voyager Class Optimus Prime. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Rise of the Beasts Weaponizer RC. At the moment, I will say in terms of robot mode, this is looking to maybe be the best RC based on the Rise of the Beast movie, but I still don't think it's the definitive version. We really do need a proper collector-focused deluxe version of this character to add to our collections, because the design is just awesome. I'd love to get your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you guys think of this Weaponizer RC? And until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.